Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily spiritual podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York City, Koustuba Das. Welcome to the show. It's episode 1406. For some reason, the other day, I thought it was 3,000 episodes we did. I was like, we've done 3,000. We haven't done we've only done 1,400, which is still pretty good. But I was thinking, like, yeah, we did 3,000. That's so impressive. Anyway, we'll get there. I'm convinced we'll get there. Today is Walk on Wednesday, everybody. It's where we bring a guest on, part of our community that we think is a cool guy or a cool gal, and bringing them on the show and pick their brain a little bit, find out what they're up to. But before we go there, Miss Mara's here, spinning the dials. Do you have any info, Mara?
I do have some very important announcements.
Tell us.
Today is Karuna's 11th birthday, so happy birthday to Karuna.
Karuna's one of our regular Zoomers, and she's 11 years old, and she knows 100 slokas from the Bhagavad Gita and more, and she's always impressed us, and a great Kirtan leader.
Yeah.
So we're giving a shout out to her on her birthday.
She's been with us since she was 8 years old.
Yeah.
She's growing up.
Yeah.
Really?
With the podcast.
All right.
All right. Also, our Sage Group signups have been extended through tomorrow. So if you want to join a second Sage Group that's open or you haven't signed up yet, go to wisdomofthesages.com. And then also join us at Govardhan Eco Village for the Light on Wisdom training, January 12th through 24th. You can go to wisdomofthesages.com to register.
Oh, that's wonderful. I have an announcement. Where's this? Okay, I'm doing an all-day workshop. I think it's sold out, though, but you can check Balanced Planet Yoga in September 7th. It's in Marlton, Jersey. All bhakti and asanas all blended together and chanting. It's going to be nice. And then we added another one on Thursday, which is the 5th. And that is in
Tom's
River. That's happening. And then Sunday at Yoga Bohemia, we're doing a live Wisdom of the Sages there. And we're interviewing the guys that did the movie Cowspiracy. And they did a movie called Christspiracy as well, as how could Christ, the Prince of Peace, recommend animal slaughter? And so they challenge Christians actually in this film. So we're going to have them on the show. It's an interview Sunday, and right after that, we're doing a class at Yoga Bohemia on Long Beach Island. So if you're around that area, you can check that out as well. Let's bring on our guests. We got a great old friend of mine and his family, and his wife is a big contributor to our podcast, Dunya. And today we're going to bring on Bali Rico from the Mayapuris. Haribol, Bali, welcome to the show.
Haribol. Haribol, everybody.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna.
Bali has been playing Kirtan since he was a little boy. Younger, I always brag that my Tarun, my 10-year-old, is learning the mridanga. This guy's been playing the mridanga since he was like a toddler, one of those baby mridangas, walking around playing it. He's in one of my favorite Kirtan groups ever, the Mayapuris, with Vishwambar and Kishore Rico, his brother. And he's married to Dunya, who's an incredibly talented singer. We bring her on when there's questions. She's a family therapist or a relationship counselor. She's expert at that. And both of them are coming up this week for Chant Camp, and we wanted to just pick your brain a little and hear what you want to offer this weekend.
Well, this is our second year coming. We were there last year. Last year, it kind of coincided with the Janmashtami, which was really sweet. We get to do Kirtan with a little bit of a kind of educational bent. Sometimes we talk a little philosophy. Sometimes there's some little rudimentary discussions on fundamentals. We did some instrument workshops, talked a little bit about raga and talam, a little kartals, a little mridanga. And it's because it's a small, tight, little close group, we're able to have kind of one-on-ones, and different people come with different levels of experience, and they come with different questions. Some of them are deep questions. Some of them are just simple. How do I hold the kartals? And so we just
Yeah.
hold that space. We grew up doing kirtan all our lives, and it's our main service, our main contribution. And so it's kind of we kind of flow with everybody and just do lots of kirtan. Every day we're doing it, first thing in the morning, and then
Until we
also
go
in
to
the middle of
bed.
the day, and then in the evening. Yeah, it's as much kirtan as you can fit into a day.
Now,
Um,
Bali and Dunya and myself are the teachers, but you got to understand, I'm like a 10-year-old with a guitar, and these guys are like Led Zeppelin showing up. You know what I mean? So I'm one of the teachers, but I always defer to these guys as my teachers, and to have them up and I do kirtan. I'm no black belt in kirtan for sure, but I can teach some people some things. Um, but these guys are really like having them in this, Super Soul is a small thing. It's not like this massive training where you get one-on-one contact with these great kirtan masters, I will say. And if you watch them in action, they're just real masters. And to get that one-on-one contribution, I mean, just down the road, an hour south, that Omega ecstatic chant is going on, and it's just like everybody's there. You just can't even touch those musicians because they're so distant. So, but I feel like we've got these guys who could lead their own huge kirtan festival here in an intimate setting. There's 2 spaces left. If you're interested, go to raghunath.yoga under/events and you can sign up for that. But I'm excited, and we're also going to have these guys chant classical bhajans, just classical bhajans that everyone should know. And then in the evening time, we'll make that our local community is going to come by too for the kirtans Saturday and Sunday. And we've got a special guest on Sunday as well. We can't tell you who it is, but it's special guest. We're trying to like get a couple more special guests because they might be nearby. So super happy to have you back and your whole family. It's really nice to have you. Um, we heard it's your birthday on Friday. That's the rumor. Is that true?
yes,
How old are you?
yes. I'm turning 39 on Friday.
Oh, 39.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
real.
There's a whole new generation of kirtan going on. And, Madhurika down in Alachua sent me, I said, my son's living in Alachua. So I said, how's the kirtan going down there? And he sent me videos of Vishwambar leading the kirtan and the whole team there chanting. And you guys had a kirtan Maha marathon. I just see my 17-year-old with like 15 to 20 other 10-year-old boys jumping up and down. It was so beautiful to watch. And then the camera pans to the right, and then there's like 70 teenage girls dancing up and down. I was like, this is good, clean fun for teenagers. This is what me and Kostuba were not doing when we were 17 years old, you know? And so it was beautiful to see. What was that Kirtan festival like?
So for us, Alachua it's really a family temple. We grew up there. I was there in '89. I was 4 years old, and in many ways it's evolved, but in so many, like in the big ways, it really hasn't changed. Like if you took that same footage any decade of Janmashtami festival, it would have looked like that. Is kind of us doing kirtan now. It's like now we have kids that are jumping in the kirtan, but we were that. And when I was 17, 18, we were jumping around dancing. So it's like in maybe the tunes are more complicated, and families evolve, and like the face of the community has kind of like expanded, but really just like ecstatically getting together, and kind of there's a little bit of like it's almost like a temporary madness that comes over you on these big festivals. You're so invigorated with everybody's enthusiasm that you just kind of you let loose, and a lot of people feel like spiritual breakthroughs. There's a few people that we were talking to that felt like, wow, I really kind of want to renew my sadhana. It's like a fresh start. And then of course we're just sitting down and doing what comes natural, which is just singing all day. We do Abhishek in the morning, and then there's Kirtan happening all throughout the day. Then in the evening, there's community Abhishek where everybody can bathe the deities, and all there's little pockets of kirtan happening all over the temple property, and it's beautiful. It's unchanging and constantly evolving at the same time.
Kostuba, his generation, because we're a little older than you, and you grew up chanting the holy name, and you're from a whole dynasty of devotee, like all your fathers and your brothers, they were all initiated. But it's just like if you go to Alachua, there's a Rico dynasty of brothers and uncles and cousins that are all devotees. But Kostuba, I don't know if you've listened to any of these next generation kirtan. This generation, they've taken kirtan to such new levels. It's so sophisticated now. We just were YouTubing some kirtans yesterday, and I was just like, oh wow, I can't even come close to this stuff. I can't. It's not within my capability in this lifetime, at least. Kostuba?
Yeah. What
Yeah.
What are you asking?
I'm asking,
right
have
now?
you ever heard this like new level of kirtan?
Of course I have. What you think? You think I never heard the Mayapuri? Or
Yeah.
they play at the end of our show every show.
I feel like
They're
it's getting
amazing.
more and more sophisticated.
I
Melodies.
don't know. I just think there's a lot of talented musicians out there, but
And they're all coming to the surface now. And every
Yeah.
generation, there's new ones. There's new ones.
sure.
You want to quickly also share, you wrote a new book out. Want to share about your book? Tell me, what is this?
All right. I wrote a book, What the Echoes Say.
It looks beautiful.
It's a story, just to sum it up very concisely, it's a story about a young generation after a big war. It's a fiction, it's fantasy. I grew up reading, starting with Tolkien and all the things that they get you to read in fifth or
Yeah.
sixth grade, whenever it is. And I kind of always maintained an attachment to stories of adventure and just the world building that can happen in fantasy and these like alternate histories that you create. And I started writing the story when I was young, and then over the years, kind of like developed my writer's voice and kept revisiting it. And at a certain point, I thought, I should actually put this in a novel, edit it, and do it nicely. So I took the last few years to dedicate my like creative pursuits into just getting this finished. I just released it this year. If you like adventure, and there's a lot of like themes of family and friendship, and there's some adventure and intrigue in there, and
Okay.
I like telling stories.
Beautiful. How can they get that?
It's on my Instagram, bali.rico.
Bali.rico.
Just click the link and it's right there. It's on Amazon. I'll have a few copies, as many as I can stuff into a bag,
Great.
and bring some with me for the
You can
retreat.
get it on you can get it on your Instagram, bali.rico. Matter of fact, everybody follow him right now, bali.rico, RICO. And then you can just go to Amazon and just put
And it's on
Bali
Amazon, yeah.
Bali Rico under
Actually, my author name is BC Rico.
that.
Just
BC
wanted to-
Rico.
Yeah,
Okay, got it.
it felt like it looked good.
It does. It does. Sounds good.
It's fancy.
Although Bali's pretty darn fancy too. Well, Bali, thanks. I'm looking forward to seeing you. He's coming up a day early, so looking forward to hanging tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Getting the kids settled, and we got a little mini bike you and me can ride around on
Let's do it.
around the yard, and jump in the pond and do super soul stuff. And looking forward to celebrating your birthday with you.
Thank you.
Okay,
Excited to
perfect.
see you all. Haribol. Thank you, everybody. Ciao.
Haribol. Okay, so Mara's going to put it Raghunath.yoga up on the board /events. If anybody wants to get in, there's 2 spots left, I think, for this event this weekend up at the farm. And we also have day passes for Saturday and Sunday. Kostuba,
Yes.
my dear, you good?
I'm good.
There's new generations of bhaktas. It's exciting. You know what I've been doing, Kostuba, after Prabhupada's appearance day yesterday? I don't know who the genius was behind this, and maybe you do. Those Remembering Srila Prabhupada videos on YouTube.
Oh, that's
Oh my God, they're so good. They are. If you want to just cheer yourself up and have a Krishna conscious day, if you're feeling like I'm going to have a bad day today. If you know you're rolling out of bed with a bad day, I've got the cure for you. You go to YouTube and put Remembering Srila Prabhupada, and a bunch of videos come up. And it's these people probably in their 50s, you know, because I think this was done 20 years ago, perhaps. And they're just talking about Prabhupada. And it's so wonderful, Kasub. Who is the
I'm forgetting his name. We had him on the show one time. He's out in Los Angeles and he made all those videos.
Oh, is it we just saw him in LA.
Yeah, I'm forgetting
It's
his name.
gonna
I think it
come to
begins
me
with
in a
an
moment.
S, but yeah.
Is it the one who lives in Topanga?
No, it's not Nisringananda, Prabhu.
Not in Sringananda. Okay.
But in any case, yeah, those are very nice videos. I had, yesterday a friend sent me a recording of my guru reading Siddhanta. That's the name, Siddhanta Prabhu.
Oh, Siddhanta, yes.
But someone sent me a recording of my guru reading about Srila Prabhupada in his life and then commenting on it. It was like an old recording, Oh, I tell you, it brought me back. It was actually one of the most sublime things I ever heard. It was just, I had this experience. It's hard to describe. Just feelings in my mind, feelings in my heart. It was,
Yeah.
what an experience.
I listened to Yamuna Devi yesterday, Giriraj Swami. It's just like, first of all, high caliber people who just said, you know what? I'm going to give my entire life to God and to Guru. And there's something about associating through sound with those people that will change your day and start to like, yeah, what the hell am I doing with my life? It just makes you recalibrate your desires, recalibrate your direction, your focus, your ideas of what fun is. And you see as they're getting older, like what a noble life they've led. They've done everything. And you see how blessed they are. And you feel like, wow, I'm connected with this lineage. It's very, very powerful. So if you feel like, what am I going to do today? Especially if you have a drive to go on today, or you got to do some busy work. You know what I do? I mow lawns. I mow lawns for a living. I mow my own lawn, and it takes me my life. And I just put on headphones and I listen to things like this, and it's so damn rewarding. Jimmy James says, I fall asleep listening to Prabhupada Memories. Is that what it's called? Prabhupada Memories? You guys, anybody with me today?
I'm not sure.
Remember Prabhupada.
If you put in Prabhupada Memories,
It's gonna
see, I think, yeah, that's what I was listening to.
Yeah.
It's got all these different series of DVDs with different devotees.
Yeah. Thank you, YouTube. Right? The perfection of YouTube. All right. Yeah. I mean, there you go again. The devotees have to be these archaeologists digging into pop culture and extracting digging into the information age and extracting what is actually valuable. Hearing from saints, hearing from dedicated devotees, watching animal attack videos just to protect yourself, and leave the rest behind.
All right.
Okay. Let's dive into this, Mr. Kostuba. We got the Srimad Bhagavatam to read. Narayanam namaskrityanaram chaivanarottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, and to Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshu bhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya Bhagavati Uttamas Loki Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer obeisances at their lotus feet. we all need our heart to be touched and turned and poked. I got choked up and I cried a little yesterday with something Mother Yamuna said. And Jujitsu Nath, a big burly Zoomer who's black belt in Jujitsu, he said I was listening also, and I broke into tears.
What did she
We all,
say?
what did Yamuna say? I can't remember it, but I can't remember it. I was just like, oh my God, I'm gonna cry. Not oh my God, I'm gonna cry. Just like naturally started crying. Something I can't remember, but it was something. One of her personal struggles. She's just so humble. She's so humble, and she just said something and feeling so blessed and feel fortunate. And she said, I'm struggling. I was struggling, and Prabhupada just I can't remember what it was. I'll go back and listen to it again. Anyway, reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 15, Text 45. Kostub, it's been a while. You want to give us a little catch up?
Well, we're coming to the very end now. There's about 35 verses left in this 7th canto. And it's pretty much the entire canto has been Narada speaking to Yudhishthira. The great sage speaking to the great king. And he's kind of going to be wrapping up everything. We just heard kind of, Narada was kind of going back to the Upanishads and taking some of the metaphors from the Upanishads, like the body is a chariot and the senses are the horses that are pulling the chariot. The soul is the passenger in the chariot. The intelligence is the driver. It's meant to control the mind and the senses, get the horses under control and direct them. And it got even more elaborate than that. Then he kind of merged two metaphors, because then it went to that one where, what is it, that the Om is the bow, right? And the mantra Om, and the self is the arrow, and the target is this, the supreme, the Supreme Lord. And so he kind of had not only the chariot, but like the bow and the arrow and everything, on the chariot being fired in that direction. And so he's kind of wrapping up that analogy now, and he's going to go into today. What we started is a section where he's just kind of saying, essentially there are two ways you can go in life. There's kind of the pro-material engagement path and the anti-material, not so much material engagement, but in other words, material engagement as a source of my happiness. That there's a pro path and an anti path, and he's going to show where they each lead, and then he's going to wrap up the chapter.
Nice. All right, let's dive into this. Text 45. As long as one has to accept a material body, isn't that a great way to put it? We have to accept this material body. We're being forced to do it with its different parts and paraphernalia, which are not fully under one's control, right? You can't choose.
No, and that's what we were just hearing. Like, in other words, the senses, those are what are the parts and the paraphernalia? Well, I have senses. I have this cognitive faculty, which is multifaceted. There's the accepting, rejecting part of the mind. There's the reasoning part of the mind. There's the self-identity part of the mind. So this is like all that equipment that he's talking about is not necessarily under our control. Our senses may be dragging us places rather than us having them under control.
Sure. So as long as one has to accept a material body with its different parts and paraphernalia, that's also gross things too. Like I wanted bigger hands. I wanted to be taller. I wanted to be smarter. You just got what you got. You can work on it, but you basically got this karma. So you're getting a body. It's out of your control. You get some parts. You get a subtle body. One must have the lotus feet of his superiors, namely a spiritual master, and the spiritual master's predecessors. Right? Not just the mercy of the spiritual master.
I tell you, that's what I was feeling when I heard that recording. I'll talk. You continue. I'll get back to it.
Okay, it's great. By their mercy, right? The gurus and the gurus' gurus and the gurus' gurus, right? The whole disciplic succession. By their mercy, one can sharpen the sword of knowledge. And with the power of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's mercy, one must then conquer the enemies mentioned above. In this way, the devotee should be able to merge into his own transcendental bliss. And then he may give up his body and resume his spiritual identity.
Mm.
Boom.
Yeah, you know, when we
Resume.
I'm sorry?
Resume his spiritual identity. Like we've had a spiritual identity, we've lost it, and
It's
then we gotta resume it.
lying dormant.
Yeah. Go
You
on.
know, that's kind of like the Matrix thing too, where like all the bodies are lying in these test tubes. It's kind of like, and it just, waiting for, you can wake up and kind of bust out of the tube and just kind of resume your real identity. But that term spiritual master, I think we're conditioned when we hear that word master, we think like slavery master, kind of like,
Yeah.
slave
Master.
and the master.
We remember like Roots from when we were growing up, that television
Roots.
series Roots. And like there's a master and here's a slave, and Kunta Kinte, yes, master. He whips them. It's like I don't want a master. I'm trying to break away from my master.
I
Or I want
looked
to
up,
be a master.
I looked up the word master, and it had, quite a few definitions.
Does it come from maestro?
I didn't go there, but it. One of them was a person who has dominance or control of something, and another one was a skilled practitioner of a particular art or activity. So, so I think both of those are important. Like if we're thinking, one thing is when we think master, don't think so much like slave master, think more like kung fu master, like someone who's
Right.
skilled at a particular art or,
Right. And the problem is once we think of master, we think of ourselves as another word, which is a pejorative practically in our culture, is a disciple. That sounds really lowly, doesn't it?
to me,
Master,
disciple doesn't sound lowly, but it sounds more like antiquated or something like that. Like
like you're a
that's something that happened
disciple.
in the Bible or something, but it's
Yes,
like
you're a
there's no disciples
it
nowadays.
sounds very intense, like I'm a disciple of His Holiness, whatever. But yeah. So go on.
Well, so there is that idea of like here it's saying that you have to find someone who's a skilled practitioner in a particular art or activity, right? Someone who knows the spiritual path and who's mastered it, who is expert at spiritual practice. You have to find that kind of person. But I also think maybe even more directly here when we say it, a person who has dominance or control of something. And here we say that the spiritual master is the person who has dominated or controlled his own senses, his own lower nature. He's not, his chariot of his body isn't running wild because the horses are just pulling it anywhere. He got the whole thing under control. He dominated his senses and he dominated his mind so that he could be free. And unless we come under the tutelage, right, of such a person, you never learn how to do it, and you remain a slave. That it kind of flips it. That now you do have that massa, that is like your own senses and your own,
Yeah, the
your
master
own
is
mind.
my body and my senses, right? Vacho vegam manasakroda vegam.
Yeah, it's
What's the whole verse? Vacho vegam manasakroda vegam.
uh,
Udar pasta vegam. Etan vegan yo vijaheta diraha.
yeah. So when we hear this, it's really practical stuff. If you really want to practice yoga, if you really want to practice spirituality, if you have some faith in these ancient texts, they're all telling us that we do need to find that spiritual master and look for someone that has their senses under control. Don't look for the person that's telling you, oh, it's actually let your senses do what you want to do, do what they want to do, because you get these imposters they'll take so much of the teachings that makes so much sense, use that as their clout, right? The mind is accepting and rejecting, and it's
Right.
Yeah, he's really onto something. Oh, he'll take all these truths from these ancient texts and then kind of misappropriate them and use them to teach something else that's easier for you to swallow. Oh, do what your senses want to do. And then kind of get your reverence or your money or whatever it is that they're taking from you. So look for the person that is the master of their own senses, that's got it all under control, that their chariot is being well directed.
Okay, that was good. Did I finish that?
Did we read that whole verse? Yeah.
Yeah, we did. Okay.
Okay.
Otherwise, if one does not take shelter, this is text 46,
Yeah.
take shelter of Achyuta and Baladev, right? This is Krishna and Balaram.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Achyuta means the infallible. Then the senses acting as the horses, right?
Yeah.
And the intelligence acting as the driver, both being prone to material contamination, inattentively bring the body, which acts as the chariot, to the path of sense gratification.
It'll
When
happen
one
naturally.
is, I have a good example of this. When one is thus attracted by those, again, by the rogues of Vishaya, right? Eating, sleeping, mating. The horses and the chariot driver are thrown into the blinding dark well of material existence. And one is again put into the dangerous and extremely fearful situation of repeated birth and death. Okay, here's the example. Can I give you? Can I come clean here, Mara?
What's going on?
Mara's like,
Uh-oh.
it depends what you're gonna say.
Yeah, they're not too clean.
Does it implicate me? Hare Krishna. No, it's like yesterday, or the day before yesterday, I fasted all day on water. And I was like, even in the evening time, after serving out everybody, me and Jamie Step Dojo and Mara and Catherine A, and we're all serving out, I felt very detached. I was like, you know what? And my son was like, you want to eat some food? Does it bother you when you serve out food? I was like, no, it's fine. I feel good. I feel good. And I felt a little proud as well. And the next day I was like, you know what? Because it's Prabhupada's appearance day, I'm going to do a dry fast till noon. So I just did no water. And I went for a bike ride with no water. And I was just like, I'm just going to dry fast till noon. Then I'm gonna
And it was 92 degrees, huh?
It wasn't so. And I was going up hills. No, it felt good. Felt good all day. And then Mara made these great little meals for me yesterday. It was so nice.
She
And
made
then
them for Srila Prabhupada
she made them for Prabhupada and me. Yeah.
and for Krishna. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Mara went to bed. And then under my head, you could feel horns growing. Mara's asleep. Tarun's asleep. And devil horns are growing on my head. And I just, almost as if a goat got into the garden, I went into that pantry and goated out like just went through that. And there was no rhyme or reason. It was just like an extreme backlash, a late night backlash binge, Mara. And you know, I went to bed thinking, oh, Krishna, whether I'm sense controlled or whether I'm completely indulgent, I am yours and I am helpless in your hands. I have no control. I think sometimes I get proud and think I have control over my senses, but I'm no better than just a goat who will just like walk into your house and start eating everything, start eating. Ever hang out with goats, Kostuba? These goats
not
are
really.
nuts. Goats will just, you could feed some goats some goat food. He'll take it out of your hand. Then they'll climb in your car and start eating like an envelope or your mail. And goats are insane.
Well,
I'm like a goat.
There's a Bengali saying about goats.
Yeah, there's nothing there's nothing a goat won't eat, and there's nothing a something won't
A
say.
fool won't
A
say.
fool won't say.
Yeah.
So I'm very goatish. It's sort of probably my spirit animal, perhaps. You know, if you know, perhaps I'll get a goat head in my next birth. But I'm just putting that out there. According to this last text, when one is thus attracted again by the rogues of Vishaya, just eating, like it's a rogue, right? The horses and the chariot are thrown into the blinding dark well. I felt like it was the well of material existence, and one is again put into a dangerous and extremely fearful situation of repeated birth and death. Oh, Krishna.
Yeah, it's saying that unless we were making a very conscious effort to connect to the origin of everything, it's natural that the body and the mind that we have will naturally pull us towards the path of sense gratification. This is where you're going to find happiness and satisfaction. This is what you need. And the result of that, and this is where it gets a little scary, right? This is where the Bhagavatam's telling us something. It's saying the result of that is you will find yourself, not all the time, you'll have your moments of gratifying your senses and feeling some sense of satisfaction that is ultimately paltry compared to deep spiritual satisfaction. But you'll have those times, but you'll also have times in this world that are extremely fearful. You know, and when those times hit, we get bewildered and we get confused and we get desperate, but those times come, and unless you've mastered this, you will really suffer in those times. So it's a compassionate message. Now one might ask the question, well, you're saying here that taking this path of material enjoyment, isn't that all, but isn't material enjoyment also prescribed in the Vedas? Like, if we go back to these ancient texts of the Vedas, they're talking about how to live a life where you're dutiful, where you perform the right rituals, and you do some sacrifice, express some gratitude through your rituals, and then you could enjoy the things of this world. You'll get, wealth and beauty and the birth of healthy children, and your crops will grow.
And the next world. There's all these promises of heavenly delights and joy. See, the thing is, a lot of especially our community, they don't get into bhakti from that. They don't get into bhakti like, how can I enjoy more? Let's get into some religious path. But in India, there's so many swamis who are teaching bona fide traditions of how to be an enjoyer in this world and how to enjoy in the heavens and the higher planets. And there's so much faith in the culture and in the afterlife and in reincarnation that people are like, okay, this is a religious system. This is dutiful. This is dharma. I want to enjoy. Everybody wants a healthy family, a good spouse. Let's do it. But we don't read those books from the get-go. We hear from Bhakti Vedantas who say the material world is a miserable place. The spirit soul. Go ahead.
If you go into any Hindu temple, you'll immediately, if you have the eyes to see, you'll see, like, okay, here we're worshiping, this Devi, and we worship her for, good health, and this one over here we worship this one for, prosperity. This is why we worship Ganesh. And Lakshmi Devi, we worship her, for this blessing, and it's expressed in a way that it's actually nice. It's okay. Oh, I see it. They're connected with the personified aspects of nature. That behind nature there's always a person, and we connect with them, and through that we prosper and we're healthy, and it's a nice thing. But so here's the question: well, if that's so, if these ancient texts are saying that, or prescribing this, well, then why are you saying it's such a dark, fearful thing? And the idea is that there's different prescriptions given to people according to the different levels of their understanding. And so for some people, it's a step up to connect in that way, rather than just be completely rudderless. Now I'm following these ancient texts, and through that, not only am I prospering materially, but I'm also kind of learning something about life as we go along. Some of the messages about life are coming through. Now Narada is going to begin to speak about, there's two ways a person can go in this world, right? There's the pro-material enjoyment, and then there's the anti-material enjoyment. The terms are pravriti and nivriti. Vritti in this case kind of means like engagement. So, and you can see the Sanskrit prefixes, right? Pravriti, like pro-vritti. And nivriti, like that niv is, the negation, right? Nivriti, non-engagement. Yeah, pro and non, pravriti and nivriti. So now Narada is going to speak about those two paths, and kind of just give a comparative study of them.
Very interesting. According to the Vedas, there are two kinds of activities: pravriti, or provriti, how Kostuba says it, or a good way to remember it, and nivriti, right? Pravriti activities involve raising oneself from a lower to a higher condition of materialistic life, right? Whereas nivriti means the cessation of material desire. Through pravriti activities, one suffers from material entanglement, but by nivriti activities, one is purified and becomes fit to enjoy eternal, blissful life.
Yeah. Here he's putting the negative spin, right? Through poverty activities, one suffers from material entanglement. You could say through poverty activities, one enjoys and then suffers, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how it works.
Yeah.
And Nivriti says, you know what? I don't need the material enjoyment and the material suffering that is always interwoven with it. I want to move past that.
Sure. This is when we come in from the Western culture, a lot of us have had, we grew, maybe our parents didn't have. Like my parents never had anything, but I always grew up always feeling a little secure. I could, I sort of did what I want. I never like had a regular job. I've always like a musician, a yoga teacher, did lots of travel, been all over the world. A lot of us come from a culture of having and getting what we want and getting our desires fulfilled as if we were doing ritualistic Vedic work for sense gratification or higher planets. A lot of us have been to the best beaches in the world, or we've been to traveling all over the world. We've had adventure vacations. We've been to the Caribbean. We've traveled America. We've done a lot of stuff like that. And we still get to this. Now we get to this point. Okay, and I'm like implicated. I'm more entangled. Sometimes on our path to material happiness becomes like a network of more desires. One desire, you open a door and there's 1,000 more desires there. And then I met this cool guy, and this cool guy introduced me to hundreds of new desires. Then I got into this whole new hobby, which cost a fortune. And this thing
What
this
have
thing
you been
is
up
like,
to, Raghunath?
this is just material existence. You get into
Yeah.
a new hobby, a new exciting hobby that doesn't even give me what I want. And so we go down all these paths. We collect storage containers of junk and basements of junk, stuff that becomes useless, stuff that we have to fire sale and it's not worth anything to us anymore. And we never actually fulfilled our heart's goal. It all became a big, well, that was exciting, but now what? And we start to realize it's not like the stuff in our life that is going to make us happy. It's a community of spiritual people that give us groundedness and joy. And that's like a big realization. A lot of us that are here are getting right now. Like, yeah, I've got a lot. I've got stuff. I can do what I want, but this is actually what I really want. And we've traded in our, some cruise to go on a pilgrimage or come up to the farm for a save a weekend when we realize I want something a little different. And we've realized that the path of sense gratification doesn't really deliver what I thought it would promise. And that's because I'm not a material being trying to enjoy the material world. I'm a spiritual being trying to enjoy the material world. And there's a dilemma there. There's something missing.
I think what you're saying is so profound, because the way that the Pravriti Marg works, right? The way that the path of material enjoyment works is that it's always promising us that we're going to achieve something that others have achieved before us that's really satisfying. It's, but the fact is, what happens if someone, like, I've had this unusual life where I don't really have a regular job, but my service kind of has taken me to certain places in the world where other people want to go.
Right.
Like I never really have been on a vacation, really, but I've been to places where people go on vacations,
Sure. Like where?
Well, like I've been to Italy or,
Right. Tuscany.
yeah, I've been to London, I've been to, Germany, I've been to India, obviously, many times. I've been to South America and
Yeah.
and like say you mentioned the beach, which I do think a lot of us just kind of there's something so beautiful about the beach,
There's something so Sattvic, like
satisfying about it, and and then of course the way that the Pravriti Marg works is it becomes associated with bikinis and all that too. So it's like,
Hey, don't forget, there's also tragedy at beaches.
Well, but even setting aside the tragedy, like that's going darker.
I've been
quick.
watching, I've been hashtagging rogue waves.
Okay.
Oh my God, man!
Let's
One
hold on.
nice day at the beach can create disaster. Let's take a photo of us, and if all of a sudden waves comes in, people are swimming for their lives in a
Very
moment.
powerful.
Okay,
But
go
let's
on, sorry.
setting that aside for now. what happens? Set aside complete disaster for now. The fact is that when you get to that beach that everybody wants to go to, you realize that actually a lot of people want to come to this beach. They've all seen the poster and they've all seen the advertisement, and they're all spending a lot of money to come here. And they're all here at the same time of the year, you know.
Yeah.
And so, although it's kind of nice, it's never as satisfying as you would hoped it would be. And at the end of the trip, the majority of the people are like, I spent a lot of money. I promoted myself as enjoying on Instagram. I let everybody know that I'm really enjoying life.
Yeah, right. Checking me out. Here I am. Here's my feet and the ocean. That's a big one. Here's my crossed ankles and the ocean.
But does it how satisfied are we really? The fantasy, you know, then you begin to realize you really only enjoy life when you can have like some private beach somewhere. And for that you need like tons of money. And if you get there, even if you finally get tons of money, what it took you to get that tons of money, generally it meant you had to compromise something on the way for that also kind of steals your satisfaction in life, you know? And in this way, this entire world and its promise of satisfaction actually never really delivers. And at some point that's got to sink in, and it's got to sink in deep. At some point we got to realize that path of material enjoyment is never, ever going to fulfill me. It's a bunch of false promises, and it's giving you just enough to keep you going. It's giving you just enough material enjoyment to make you think there's more to this. I just got to perfect it more.
Yep. And the fact that you brought up the beach, like, yeah, and there's something about the beach. Yeah, because it's in the mode of goodness. Like people who like to camp or backpack or hike or go to the Grand Canyon or go to a pristine beach, that will get you to this level of happiness most of us don't usually get. Why? Because we're in the mode of passion and ignorance. So when you get around the sea or the ocean or the mountains, we feel like, this is the real me. This is the authentic me. I just need to reground. That's all. No, that's not all. You need something higher than that. That's good. And we need to get to this sattva guna to have some real lasting, a better quality of happiness. In the same way a drug addict is also happy. They're happy in their stupor. They're happy sleeping on the streets intoxicated. We don't want that happiness. Then we advance a little bit more. We want happiness in the mode of passion. You know, I take my kids to the stock car races. We're like, that's a different
really
type
like
of
that,
happiness.
Ragnar?
We're eating popcorn, watching stock car races. We're screaming. Yeah, that's a type of happiness too. But the sattvic happiness, going for a hike or that is like a different type of happiness. And we realize this is the real happiness. And the Bhaktivedantas, the yogis are saying, actually, there's something even higher. And that's transcendental happiness.
It's so true. And you know, the world, if we're attuned to it, if we're looking for it, it will give us these messages. Like, say you even do go and say you do have a relatively good time, right? Yeah. Like say, oh, that was a really nice vacation. What's happening is as the vacation's going on and the time is ticking away, you're realizing I'm going to have to go back. I'm going to have to go back. I'm going to have to go back. And then you go back and you realize I went up and I came back down, and now I'm back on the subway. I'm back in the car in traffic, driving to work, doing a job that maybe I don't like. And it's the material energy giving you a message, right? Because behind this suffering of material energy is Durga, who's actually a compassionate being, even though she's sticking those spikes of material life into us. But she's saying, just look. You read in these Vedic texts about how people may ascend through piety. They may ascend to the higher planets and enjoy tremendously, but they always have to come back down. Yeah. And what you just did was you did that in the little micro version of it. You know, there's the macro version. Yeah. And you just lived out over the course of a week and a half a micro version of going to the heavenly planets and having to return. And there's a message there that is the nature of the material energy. It brings you up and then it brings you down. And the sooner one just really understands I need to if I'm ever going to get my wheels out of spinning in the mud, there's going to have to be some kind of leap of faith, or at least some serious investigation into another path. right? That there is another approach to life beyond I will find happiness through material enjoyment. And so that's what it's saying. Hey, there is another marg. It's called the Nivriti marg, where you say, I'm not looking for my fulfillment through external things. There's another path.
So good, huh?
So necessary to hear.
I felt peaceful and happy when I was doing the fasting. I always felt peaceful and happy and detached and empowered and strong. And then the contamination of the senses.
Yeah.
And then there's indulgence and there's regret. It's not like it wasn't happiness. I was
Regret.
enjoying every chomp, every goat chomp I was chomping. I was like, oh, Mara's asleep.
Well, that's in the beginning when we try to walk that path, it manifests in the stage Bhoga Tyaga, right? It's like, okay,
Indulgence.
then let it go. Reject it, then bring it back, then reject it again, and then you call that regret. That feeling of regret, whether it's because we just indulged, in eating some junk, or whether it's we're coming back from the vacation and said that I just did the best thing and I'm still not satisfied, and now I'm going back. That feeling of regret, that's very meaningful. That's a blessing.
Sure.
Because it's meant to help us understand, the material path doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what? We could just tease this out with my whole
We'll come
life,
back tomorrow.
my own pathetic examples. But it's time for the show to wrap up.
Maybe tomorrow could be what's the word I'm looking for?
A medley of my blunders.
Profiles in pity, how
Everybody,
we've suffered.
We're going to unmute some people, tell us all their mishaps. All right.
All right, Mariji, what you got?
All right.
We got
Kirtan is going to new levels.
Yeah. And let's face it, the truth behind all kirtan is that it's the quality of the heart. I just love the fact that Bali has a beautiful heart and Dunya have beautiful hearts, and they're also maestros. They're maestros.
All right, they mastered it.
Remembering Prabhupada is the cure for a bad day.
No.
Oh, there you go.
Recalibrate your desires to have a noble life.
Oh, yeah. That's a great t-shirt. Recalibrate your desires to have a noble life. Boo.
We need the mercy of the disciplic succession.
Yeah. We didn't really get into that today, but we just touched on it. But it's not just our guru's blessings or our elders' blessings. We want the blessings of generations of great souls. What a great meditation, huh?
Resume our spiritual identity.
Resume our spiritual.
Wake it up.
Great phrase.
The path of sense gratification doesn't deliver.
Does not deliver, peeps.
We need something higher than sattva.
Something higher, baby. Din, din, just a minute ago. What is that song?
Oh, I'm not going to tell you.
It's a miracle.
And
what is that?
goats are insane.
Goats are insane. Thank you, everybody, for joining the podcast. Remember, 2 spaces left for Chant Camp this weekend. Come on down or up or fly over and join the party. Also, go on a pilgrimage. Nico, Stupid, Mara, hitting all the holy places that you love. In India, go to Wisdom of the Sages or Raghunath.yoga to find more about the pilgrimages. Woo! And then India's happening 200-hour, 300-hour yoga teacher trainings in January with me, Lori Pag, Cindy, Bobby, Kastuba. We got a team. We got Kirtan Academy with Mridanga School happening for 12 days, and we've got Kirtan Academy happening for the second half. That's all on my website, raghunath.yoga. You can check that out. But a great way to break away and hang with great souls for the new year. And of course, our Wisdom of the Sages retreat upstate Columbus Day, way to wind down. What a great time to be upstate in the fall. Leaves are changing colors. It's a short retreat. It's a Friday through a Sunday. But the Monday, some people are invited to stay over, and we're going to have a Savor retreat that Sunday and sort of wrap up the farm.
That Monday.
That Monday, rather, which is a holiday. So if you're interested in the retreat and you want to stay for the Savor retreat, that's a free add-on, but we do some Seva and we help close up the farm. We're going to plant things. We're going to cut things. We're going to stack things. We're going to see Henry there with his high boots and rubber gloves. He's going to be there doing humble service. And, yeah, we got a great community. We got great people in our lives. To quote my friend Dennis, there are a bunch of great souls in that house. There's a bunch of, he said, there's a bunch of beautiful souls in that house. That's what we want. We want to live in such a way that we attract beautiful souls to us. And in the process, we become beautiful souls. We're already beautiful. We're just covered by the modes of passion and ignorance. Thanks for all the supporting members and all the Patreon members. If you're a Patreon member,
Patreon.
switch on to the new platform. Do it. What's the actual name, Christoph?
Sage Community Platform.
Sage Community Platform. Thanks for all the members who are already there. If you haven't become a member, wisdomofthesages.com. A monthly contribution of your choice helps us expand our mission. It's a mission. We're on a mission from Lord Sweet Baby Krishna.